Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. And just before it gets started, just a little disclaimer. We recorded this as a test as we were first learning how to podcast and not knowing what we were doing. So the audio quality is not quite up to par for what we would like. But we did feel like the content was just too good not to release. So we're putting it out there. Bear with us on the audio and promise it'll get better next time. Hope you enjoy. You're listening to From Find to Fabulous podcast, where we explore energy, mindset, spirituality, and all things woo. I'm Michelle, here with Dylan and Wright, and together we are on this journey with all of you to transform our lives from mundane to magical. Can we both sit here and look at you like, what?
Yeah. What made you want to start this podcast?
Dylan. Dylan is the one who wanted to start the podcast.
So it's my journey. So I should record all this stuff.
Dylan kept saying we should start a podcast.
I sure did. I see Michelle as a very marketable person, and more people need to hear the things you say because it makes me feel good inside.
Aw, that's the sweetest thing you've ever said to me.
It's like, when the world's caving in on you and it's just like, man, I need some help. I just call Michelle and she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool.
That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say I got a similar vibe, from Michelle as well. I mean, moving to Austin and then starting a new job and, sitting next to somebody who I can relate to on a different level was very comforting.
Well, it's good to know that you guys didn't just think I was crazy.
No, not at all.
I did for a long time, actually.
I feel like that's definitely something when you start talking about spirituality and spirits, angels, guides, tarot, astrology. Some people look at you like you have two heads.
Well, I still don't know if I believe the thing with the rods.
The dowsing rods.
Because every time I've asked somebody to do that, they're always wrong. So I don't know.
I think
I'm a skeptic.
That's fair.
But there's too many coincidences that happen in life for me not to believe something now.
I mean, I can relate to that. I mean, I think, prior to 2019, I probably wouldn't be as open to some of the things that I've heard and seen, lately. So it's kind of different for me as well, but definitely have found like a layer of comfort in some of the things that pop up.
Why?
I think it's because I'm more present now than I have been in the past.
Oh, yeah, same.
And I think that's super, super common because I feel like I probably lived my life, most of it, just going through the motions of life, doing the same routine over and over again and just trying to, make ends meet, do the job, do it to the best of your ability without really slowing down to appreciate the little things, life and just being super, I guess, tunnel vision really on making sure that my kids were good, being a single mom. It was, that was my focus. And then I think at some point the pressure of all of that kind of built up enough that I started just saying, I have to find a way to just be. And I didn't really even know what that meant, but it just felt like a thing that I needed to accomplish. And I think with coming to that realization, there was just a whole slew of things that transpired that slowly, one little thing at a time, changed my whole entire life.
Figuring that out now. I take those coincidences as signs that I'm on the right path. So I just chill out.
Definitely.
It's like a calming thing, I guess. I don't know. And I feel like framing it that way, now I notice it more often.
Give an example of one of the things that you can think of that you were calling a coincidence, because I would say there are no coincidences.
Well, I was at Rice Place a couple weeks ago. I correctly guessed the number in somebody's head that was there.
And so when that happens,
Hmm.
that's one of the things that you think validates that you're on the right path. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm psychic.
Okay.
I think I'm actually psychic. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Very
It's
cool.
okay to laugh,
It's very
but I'm
cool.
really starting to believe in it. I'm like, you know what? I think there might be something more to this, and maybe I'm connected, and maybe I'm the savior of humanity.
I think you made a good point there.
Hmm.
I feel like we're all
Savior of humanity.
psychic to some extent, and I think it can be expanded
Mm.
if we practice it and work on it. And I think maybe the point you brought up earlier about um, being more present is a
Hmm.
big part of that.
Yes.
Because when you're present, you can tune into those, what I would call synchronicities, not coincidences. Um,
Oh, yeah, I like that. I
yeah,
like that actually.
yeah,
See, I think that's how I framed it, but I still call it a coincidence.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, being more aware
Hmm.
of the little things.
And I feel like, there's certain things, like I said, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I certainly wouldn't have even tuned in or been aware of
So
the
you
things.
started seeing those things differently, like they would happen, but you'd be like, "That's a coincidence." But then when you started looking at it differently,
I don't even know that I would even notice the coincidence or the synchronicity or the anything. I think I was just totally tuned out to
oh,
it.
you were just
Com-
going through the motions,
yes, just going through the
autopilot.
motions, autopilot,
Hmm.
not really experiencing.
You weren't taking a minute to like breathe and
Exactly.
ground
Exactly.
and like touch the desk and be like, "That's a real thing."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like maybe what got me to change was the belief or the thought came in that I need to learn to just be. But in addition to that, in about 2016, I guess it was, I became aware that one of my daughters um, could communicate with, I guess is the word, communicate with dead people. And
Whoa.
she told me that she had been doing it her entire life.
Mm.
And I was like, well, wait a minute. How do I not know this? Because at this point, she was an adult.
Mm.
Um, and so, she said, I don't know how you didn't know. And she said, I'm sure I said things to you. And that right there showed me that I was not tuned in. So, yes, there were lots of things she would say to me, but it was like it went completely over my head because I wasn't tuned into the present moment, to the here and now, and,
Hmm.
really feeling and experiencing and being in it.
Yeah.
And so
It's like a whole new way of thinking.
once I really heard her, I guess is what I could say to that, it started opening my mind that there's way more out there than I'm tuned into or aware of.
Hmm.
And I got super curious. And so I didn't want her to feel like I thought she was weird or anything like that. So every time she would give me a little snippet of anything, I'd go Google it and I'd go look it up to
Yeah.
see what was she was talking about. And so, that was just the iceberg, the little tweak, the little thing that broke me kind of open to experiencing and realizing that there's more out there.
Mm.
And so, and there were lots of different things that transpired after that got me into even considering spirits,
Yeah.
astrology, tarot, all the things. And it's baby steps, right?
Yeah.
It's baby steps.
I will say I'm still skeptical, but when you pull cards and they directly um like fall into exactly what's going on, usually it's like coincidental, but or is it synchronicity? I don't know. So, but it happens more and more often, and I just thought to myself like, I'll just think of it as like the force or magic or something or something. But I definitely feel like there's something somewhere that's doing something because now, like, I used to think when you died, that was just it. You just cease to exist. But now I'm like, maybe we just like go to the next Earth. And Michelle really believes in the afterlife. She really believes. She's got a big smile on her face right now.
I do.
Yeah,
And I have to because, when your own child comes to you and says that they communicate with spirits and they have been their whole life,
it's crazy.
as a parent, you tend to believe them because why would my own child tell me something that, you know, as an adult,
Mm,
I mean, I guess some parents, if it's their young child, they might think it's their imagination,
right,
right?
right.
But when your child is an adult and they tell you this and that they've been doing it their entire lives, and then explained things about, she she said to me, "Mom, this is the best way I can explain it to you." She said, "When I go to bed at night, I can't go to sleep until the footsteps stop." And she said, "It's like all my moms, millions of them, come to my room at night." And so then I think back to her being a baby and she wouldn't sleep. She cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried
Mm.
forever. And the only way I could get her to sleep was to let her sleep with me. And then I started thinking, oh my gosh, maybe it's because her room was filled with spirits and she was terrified.
Oh, maybe. I'm glad that didn't happen to me.
So, you know,
I don't know what I would do.
that's what started to expand my
So,
belief in it.
what are you saying? Moms? Like, there's a bunch of moms? Like spirit moms?
I guess so. I'm sure they're not all female, but you know what I mean? Like just people.
Does she still experience that?
Yes. She tries not to. She tries to tune it out. She can turn it on and turn it off. It's not something that she wants to explore and expand and do. Um, but
Mm.
she has definitely gotten messages from one of my uncles several times
Oh, I
from
remember this story. You told me this once at work.
mhm, from my mom who had recently passed away from. So she can and she does, but she doesn't choose to do it and expand it and be open to it. So
But you are.
I am.
You want to be all in tune.
I say bring it on. Oh, I could tell you guys a story about
Yeah.
about my experience. So, like I said, many, many years ago, I was not tuned into any of this. Never even crossed my mind that it would even be a thing, or, it was not in my conscious mind at all.
Hmm.
So one time she had a friend staying overnight and she had gone to take a shower and the friend was in her room. And when she got out of the shower, she came back. The friend said to her, "There are spirits in here. Can you make them go away? I'm scared."
Hmm.
And the friend was also starting a new job the next day. And so said, "I really want to get a good night's sleep. I don't want to, be kept awake." So my daughter tells her spirit friends to leave her room and to that they could go and bother her mom. Unbeknownst to me, I did not know that this was going on. Well, that night, I was awoken in the night by what all I can describe as a change in the atmosphere in the room. If you can imagine,
You got colder?
it wasn't cold. It was like the frequency in the room changed. And so if you can imagine like if you were underneath a
Vibration,
helicopter, yeah,
essentially.
and the blades going whoop 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 whoop, that's what it felt like. I don't know if I
Pulses?
don't know, yeah, I don't know if I heard it or
Hmm.
I felt it, but it woke me up. And so then when I woke up, I opened my eyes and I thought, what is this going on in the room? And then I can see a figure, a dark figure coming from where my bedroom door was
Absolutely
and
not.
the door was closed
Nope.
and it came up the side of my bed and it stopped right by my nightstand, which I was right there on that side of the bed,
No thanks.
and it just stopped. And I guess all I can describe it as was a hover. It just hovered there, and I'm sure my eyes were as big as saucers and I was looking at it going, what in the world is this? And then it just vanished. It just went away. And I had a little dog at the time. The dog was in the bed with me. She never moved. She never made a motion or anything. And so it just disappeared. And when it disappeared, the vibration in the room went back to normal. And it was very peaceful and it was very, I sensed the
Like
ceiling fan.
serene.
Yeah, it was very serene. And the woo 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 noise or vibration. I don't know if it was a noise. It was just like a vibration, I guess. Stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So then I just fell back asleep.
You went back to sleep
I
after that?
I did. I don't know how, but I did. And
That's
then
terrifying.
sometime later, and I have no idea how long it was because I didn't look at a clock or whatever, I was woken up again by the vibration in the room changing.
I would move.
It woke me up again. And so this time I see another figure in my room. And this time it comes from where the door is, goes across the foot of my bed, and halfway up the other side of my bed, and then just hovers. Now, this is not like a walking, it's more of like a floating of this figure. So then I think to myself, okay, I'm always telling my daughter not to be afraid and to find out who it is and what they want. So I think, oh, I'm going to ask this time. I'm going to find
No,
out who this is.
absolutely not.
So I sit up on my elbow on the bed.
No. You're supposed to go under the covers.
And no,
They
I
can't
want.
they can't get you under the
I
covers.
had to be brave because I kept telling my daughter to
Oh
be brave.
no.
So I was a little bit more, on edge now, this twice in one night.
Yeah.
And
Get
this had
those
never, I
ones.
had never experienced this in my
Was that
entire
this
life.
house?
This house.
Oh my god. We
Yes.
gotta move
This house.
locations. We cannot be in here anymore.
So I get up on and this was her room where they all came.
Oh my
Does that make you feel any
God.
better?
This makes a lot more sense now.
I knew there was a reason why I was scared. Yeah, I think I hung a TV over there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you did at one time.
It's kind of funny how this all panned out, huh?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So anyway, I get up on my elbow and I'm going to ask this spirit who they are and what they want. And then what I discovered was I couldn't speak. No voice would come out of my mouth when I
Oh my
tried to
God.
speak.
Like a Dementor.
So then I thought, okay, well, maybe I have to do it through my thoughts. So then I just started thinking, who are you? What do you want? Who are you? What do you want? Who are you? What do you want? And then they just vanished. And then again, the atmosphere in the room went back to normal. It was very peaceful. Well, by this time, there was no way I was going back to sleep.
Yeah.
It was probably I don't know, between 4 and 5 in the morning, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And I got up and I went to work. I got dressed. I came into my daughter's room and I whispered because her friend, remember, was there. And I whispered, "Oh my God, do you know what just happened to me? There were these spirits in my room last night." And do you know what she said to me?
Mm.
"Welcome to my life."
Oh man.
I'm like, what? I'm terrified.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to say to me?
I don't like that. That's terrifying.
So I went to work and then I called one of my friends and I was like, "Oh my God, you have got to get here. Are you almost here? Are you?" And I had to tell somebody that this happened. And so then when she got there, I told her the story. And there's only been one other experience where I've actually experienced a being like that, I guess, a spirit in that way. Um, and this was, I don't know, years ago when this happened, maybe 2016, 2017 ish.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't normally, I can sense when a spirit is in a room sometimes.
I've seen you do that.
Yeah, because I get very,
You like sweat.
yeah, it's just such a high energy.
And you get real quiet.
Yeah, you get real quiet.
Yeah, because I'm trying to sense, and
How do you do that?
I don't know.
Because I don't, if I come across a spirit, I don't think I believe enough to see it. So,
Well, and I don't know if it's necessarily that. I just think that some people can and some people can't.
oh, like maybe I'm just psychic.
Well, I think we all can.
Yeah.
We just haven't expanded that part of us yet. And I think a lot of it has to do with our own energy and our own frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, a couple of years, maybe 3 or 4 years after that, I was at my mom's house and I was in one of her spare bedrooms, and there was a framed photo on the side table, and I picked up that picture and I took it into my mom. I said, "Mom, who is this?" And she said, "That's my grandmother." I said, "That's who was in my room that night."
Oh.
The second one. The first one, I have no idea.
Ooh.
The first one felt male to me, which is very weird for me to say because I don't know what gives me that. But the second one was for sure a woman. And I described her to my friend, and she said, "Wait, wasn't it dark in your room?" And I said, "Yeah." But I described her in such detail. She's like, "How did you see all of that?" And I was like, "Honestly, I don't know."
She was glowing.
It was no, it was dark, but I think maybe I saw it
Third eye.
in my third eye and not with my actual visual eyes. But I saw it with my visual eyes, but more maybe more like a shadow.
Hmm.
But I think the details that I described to her were more from a knowing. I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah, we don't know. Like,
And
there's
anyway, so that's who it was. That was my mother's grandmother. And as soon as I saw the picture, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's the lady." And
wow.
this was years afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew it was her.
Wow. See, that's terrifying. I would move. I would move houses. Like, I wouldn't stay here.
I haven't experienced it anymore.
But it wasn't threatening. It was just, it
No,
was
no, it didn't feel threatening. It didn't feel scary. And like I said, the second time I wanted to just try to see if I could figure out who it was. Again, trying to expand my my knowingness, my
Your
awareness, my
understanding.
whatever, my psychic ability or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it didn't feel scary. But at the same time, when it was over, there definitely was an adrenaline rush. I was definitely shaking, but I wouldn't say it was fear. It was more of like an "oh my gosh, did that really just happen?" kind of sensation.
Hey, again, that sounds terrifying. But if it does happen, I will definitely come here and tell that story. Um, but wow, I no, I don't want that to happen to me.
Shall we pull a card before we close today?
yeah. Let's do it.
Pull a card. Okay.
This is my favorite part.
I'm gonna use the Colette Baron Reed, the Dreamweaver's Oracle today.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just see. I'm just gonna take a breath here and just try to tune into my angels and guides and ask um, what we need to know today during this podcast. What information do they want to share?
Yeah. What should I be manifesting?
Okay.
Oh.
We have card number 29. All is calm upon these shores. And it kind of looks like a little bit of a beach picture coming out of a conch shell. Is that what that looks
Yeah,
like to
I
you
think
guys?
where the
Yeah.
waves hit the sand coming out of his shell.
Oh, it's cool.
Okay, so let's see. I'm going to just read from the little booklet that comes with these cards. And so the title of the card is All is Calm Upon These Shores. And it says the essential meaning is a calm and centered sense of self, radical acceptance, peaceful interactions with others, and releasing attachment. It says there are days when you know you've done all you can and surrendered your attachments to outcomes, trusting that things will turn out the way they will. You don't have anything to prove anymore. When you reach this moment, you experience a kind of satisfaction and accomplishment that may not even have anything concrete, any real perceived success connected to it. You just know peace and serenity. This may be fleeting, but it doesn't matter how long you stay at peace. Once you know the feeling, you can always return to it. The way to these calm inner shores is simple: meditation and prayer, coupled with surrendering your wants and your attachments to the will of the divine, being humble and grateful for what is in front of you. Letting go of the need to control or change anything outside of yourself is key. This is not a passive state, but rather an action of choice, like radically accepting what you cannot change. The Serenity Prayer beautifully outlines this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Peace is the state of knowing that all is well. Enjoy it, because it is.
I like that.
I think this goes back to how we started this, and we talked about how the world is in chaos. And I think this is telling us that
It's very relevant.
even when the world feels like it's chaotic, or we're stressed, or we're angry, or we're whatever because of the state of things in our lives, that we can remain calm and peaceful and stay in our own power, because obviously all the stuff that's going on outside in the world we cannot control, we cannot change.
That's a very good message.
But if we stay in our own, what did it say, in our own peace, in our own serenity, and we meditate and use prayer coupled with surrendering our wants and our attachments to the way we think it should be, right?
Yeah.
Then, you know,
What card number is this?
29.
Interesting.
And if you, in numerology, if you add the numbers together, that's an 11, and 11 is a master number. I think that's what they call it.
Oh,
That's it.
That's
the first
day one.
episode. Wow,
Just warming up.
We talked about a lot of different things, I feel like.
yeah. All right. Until next time.
Anyway,
I got it. That's how I'm gonna cut it out.
thanks for tuning in to From Fine to Fabulous. We are truly grateful for the time that you've spent with us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider liking, sharing, leaving a comment, or even a suggestion for a topic you would like us to discuss. We would love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you will be alerted first when a new episode is released. Until next time, be fabulous.